Hello everybody, and you're very welcome back to the channel. So today we have a little mechanical video on our John Deere here, 6-cylinder John Deere with a Lucas CAV DPA pump on it. Very common issue with these pumps. I'll just get the light set up here. Very common issue with these pumps, as anyone will know that has any experience with them, is the O-rings in the spindles here. So the spindle for the throttle and the spindle for the stopper cable. They do start to weep a bit of diesel over time, and the O-rings go weak in them, will go hard, and they will start to weep a bit of diesel. And this one is weeping a bit of diesel. So I'm going to get into that job now soon. First thing obviously we have to do is take off our throttle lever, take off the springs, take off the stopper cable. There's a few things to check underneath. There's a couple of things you just have to watch out for underneath when you're taking the top off the pump that I will talk through. That's very important, but it is a very straightforward job if you have a clue what you're doing. If you're anyway mechanically minded at all and you have a few bits of tools, it's a job that is easily can be attempted by anyone with any sort of mechanical knowledge. So I'm going to talk through that now. These pumps, of course, very, very common all through the 70s and 80s. Tractors all over the world, from Massey Ferguson, John Deere, obviously, internationals, you name it, the tractors had these pumps on them. And indeed, David Brown, as we spoke about in one of our last videos, and issues they had with the CAV pumps. But yeah, as you look here, this is the 3050, so this in here now is our little 165. So if you look at the 165, it is the exact same pump. Now the internals, of course, are going to be a little bit different. The internals on the pump are going to be different, but the basic makeup of the pump and the operation of what we're doing here is the exact same. And this here is our little seal kit. So seal kit I got off John Connerty's. Hashtag not sponsored for this one. So yeah, it's just basically the gasket for the top cover. And then the O-rings for the spindles, and then the little copper washers then for the nuts on top. That's basically all there is to it. Very, very simple, straightforward. It's called a top seal kit for a DPA pump. Now you can get a full complete gasket kit, but we don't need it in this circumstance. So it's just a top kit that we need, and that is the part number for it there. And as I said, that part number for this kit will do a multitude of pumps on different machines. So yeah, John Connerty's in Kelton, County Meath. So yeah, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, start taking off our few springs and bits and pieces. Now that's not the standard fitting spring, so there's going to have to be a few little bits done on this tractor to tidy all this stuff back up to original. But what I really want to do is I want to get this tractor that I can run it and leave it running for a little while, because it's one that we recently bought, and I just want to be able to run it, check it for leaks, do a little bit of work on it, because we do plan on doing a little bit more of a substantial restoration on it. It does need a couple of oil leaks and stuff tidied up on it. It needs the bonnet has been badly painted on it at some stage. It looks like it's been painted with a brush, so I do want to get that stuff tidied up, and I will be doing a little bit of a feature on this tractor in the coming months. Now what I will do is I will probably do a lot of the work, and I will let them off pretty quickly and won't drag it out, because I know people can tend to get bored when the project like this continues on. So I will do a lot of the work first, and just have them ready to fire out, and not have it kind of hanging around in the background waiting to get done. So yeah, fine, a nice machine. Nice machine, pretty original, I have to say. Yeah, nice machine. It is pretty original. There hasn't been a whole lot of work done to it, other than mechanical work that was done a couple of years ago. The previous owner, the back end of it was rebuilt, the transmission pump and four-wheel drive packs, PTO pack and stuff like that was all done on it, which is it's a great bonus to get that kind of work done already, that I don't have to go tearing into it. But yeah, as I say, these machines in reasonable condition, in good condition, are getting harder and harder to come by. So yeah, when this one came up for sale at not overly expensive money compared to what some of them are making these days. I just said I'd go for it because, you know, I was in two minds over this and another machine for keeping for ourselves, because I never actually myself, I never had a 6-cylinder 50 series. Obviously the 4 cylinders, yes, but not the 6 cylinders. So I always wanted 1 or 2 or 3 of these. So this is the first of them, and the 3650 obviously is the one that everyone wants, but just we'll have to wait another year or two and let the funds build back up again after a few purchases recently. So yeah, I got this one right first and get it out working, because we do have plans to work it. It's not going to be a show pony again. I don't really go for the show pony machines. It's going to be tidied up, looking very respectable. Any oil leaks, as I said, any water leaks, any issues are going to be fixed, and then, you know, get the paint work sorted, a little bit of rust on the bonnet sorted, and we'll take it from there. So that's the throttle and the cable out of the way. So the next thing to do is take off the spring here. So let's see how my fingers are this morning. Just clip that spring off, obviously keeping a note of where everything goes back on as you go, and try not to lose stuff, which I am famous for. So yeah, you can see there now the throttle, you know, there's a little bit of play in that. The O-rings have probably gone flat in it. So the next thing to do is just knock off these 2/8, just slacken them off right up to the top of the bolt. There are plenty of other videos on YouTube of guys doing this, especially on the Massey Fergusons and that, but it just says, look, it's a decent video to add in to maybe a collection of videos that I'm going to have on bits and pieces that we're doing to this tractor. Now it does have a set of 28-inch front wheels on it, that these came pretty standard with. Now I am looking for a set of 24-inch front wheels, so it would be 15 by 24, so I can put a set of 16.9s in the front of it, because I do want that wider tyre on the front of this tractor. Not for any aesthetic reason as such, just I want that wider stance if we're going onto cereal ground, and if it's pulling a roller maybe, or out in soft ground when it's spreading a bit of fertilizer or something. I don't need really narrow tyres. It's more for practicality than anything. So yeah, if anybody out there knows where there's a set of 15 by 24 front rims for a John Deere 50 series 6-cylinder, or indeed a John Deere 6400, because they are all the same, please keep me in mind. So yeah, if you look there, you can see on the throttle linkage there's a flat square on that, so you can't really go wrong with where you're putting it back in. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So now I have done hundreds of these pumps down through the years, stripped them and rebuilt them on various different types of machinery, and yeah, but you never know. I still always like to be err on the side of caution when you're doing the likes of this kind of work. What I'll do now is I'll just put the nut back on the top of the 2 of these, because more often than not you have to give a gentle tap down onto the top of the spindles just to get them to seat. So, as I always like to say in these videos, cleanliness is next to godliness, especially when you're working with machines and fuel pumps and fuel systems. So a good clean down with a bit of brake cleaner or something, just to take all the crap, because, you know, 30 odd years or more of 40 years nearly of this is a 1987 tractor, so yeah, Jesus Christ, for 39 years of gunk built up, you know, it starts to show. So yeah, as I said, yeah, I do plan on doing a good bit more with this tractor, so I'm just cleaning this down now to get this off, and it will be getting a proper bath, degreased and bit of a spray job done, because there's nothing worse when somebody sprays something or paints something and does a bad job on it, and then it's all flaky and crusty. Like, there's a lot of bad paint work done there where stuff hasn't been prepared. Right, so yeah, that's everything stripped off the top that has to be done. So the next thing we need to do is take off our retaining bolts, or nuts I should say. So we'll take the two of them off. Keep them safe, and you have little washers there, so they're gone hard as well, but they're in the kit, so leave them there. I actually should have a magnetic tray. I think I will get it and put those into it. So yeah, every mechanic's best friend, a good magnetic tray for holding especially small little bits of levers and washers and bolts and nuts, springs. Throw them in there out of the way. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is see if we can give this a little tap and see will it come loose. It'll probably be stuck. So there she is. Her waters are broken. So basically what's happened there is all the fuel that was in the top of the pump is just draining out. So we'll just let that dribble away for a little while. Now you can see here now that the rods, you know, they're kind of stuck in the housing, so that's why I put those little nuts onto it. So if you just lift it a little bit, just give them a little tap, at least when the nuts are on it, it will prevent any damage. So the one thing you really have to look out for now is, and I'll try and get the camera around to show you, underneath there's a spring, and the spring goes into a governor plate. And you have to check which hole it's in. So I'm just going to move the camera now, 1 second. So you can see the governor plate and the spring, and there's 3 holes. There's a top, middle and bottom, and if you look, you can see it's in the middle hole. So it's very important that that spring, everything goes back in where it was, in the middle hole, because that's what's set for this pump. Because the last thing you want to be doing is having to go check you know, reference manuals. And now I do have the workshop manual there for these pumps, but you have to get the code of the pump, and then depending on what tractor it's on, what machine it's on, what injectors it's using, you know, will determine what setting the governor is at. And for anyone interested, there is the manual. There's the parts manual for the DAP CAV pump, DPA pump. All your operating pressures, everything is there. It's actually, compared to modern manuals, this was probably wrote God knows when, in the 50s or 60s. I don't know when this was wrote, but it's absolutely fantastic. It's just written in plain common sense English with beautiful diagrams, explanations of how the pump works, all your settings, all your pressures, literally idiot proof. You know, different settings on the governor, on the springs, setting up your you know, your max fuel volume, your fuel volumes, literally how to do everything. And it's pure gold. There's a complete breakdown of all the parts inside the pump, and then of course the workshop manual on how to do everything. It's yeah, and if anybody wants one, if anybody, you know, would like one of these, I have no problem sharing these with anyone. I can send it off in a PDF format. You just print it off yourself or keep it on your laptop. Me personally, I like having them in book form like this, covered in plastic. It's in a sheet, so I can take that if I need to, just put it on a workbench, flick through it. If it gets dirty, just wipe it clean. But yeah, brilliant book. If anyone wants one, give me a shout. So your best friend here is going to be a pointy pliers, and you pull out the spring. Now this is my first time obviously in this pump. You can see The spring here is on the middle hole. You can see that there, it's set in that middle hole on this end of the spring, and on this end it's also set in the middle hole, so it's middle. Can't go wrong there, can't forget that. Middle. And that's really the most trickiest part of doing these. Everything else after that, if you get that right, you know, and even if you did get it wrong, it's not the end of the world. You'd know pretty quickly that things weren't right. Now, looking in here, obviously there's a good bit of crap and water in this pump. There seems to be a bit of, because it has been lying, this tractor has been lying up for quite a while. It's done nothing really for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years or more. It's done very, very little. And the guy that owned it before me, who's the father of a good friend of mine, another mechanic who was an apprentice of mine actually, that I schooled for a few years. So Andrew, if you're watching, yeah, you're doing well, lad, fair play to you. Yeah, it's been, I bought it off his father, so there's a bit of gunk in here. If you're going cleaning that, which I will, I'll get a little brush and just brush off the crap. Now I don't know what the rest of the pump is right, but the tractor's actually driving all right. It's you know, it's operating fine. So I don't particularly want to have to take the pump off now, but I will spray that there and I'll give that a clean. So basically what you have here is that's your stopper rod there. So that's your stopper rod there. So when you're putting it back together, obviously you have to make sure that that part of the stopper, the little notch, obviously sits down into that rod, that it will operate it. And you just have to, because that literally just sits there, sits underneath that capping, there. So your rod will sit into that for your stopper, and when you want to stop it, obviously pulls on it and it pushes it, the metering valve, into the closed position. Now what does happen these pumps is if some of these machines are parked up over time, the metering valve can get stuck in them, because if you stop it with the stopper lever out and leave it out, it'll stay in that position, and then when you want to go and start it, you'll push it in, the rod will go in, but the metering wheel, metering shaft, it won't rotate back, it'll actually seize. So it's spring pressure that will bring it back, but because it's been sitting up, perhaps it will go tighten it and it will stay in that off position. So your stopper will be in, everything will look normal, you'll try and start it and it'll just crank and nothing will happen. Sometimes it'll tap on the side of the pump with a hammer or something will free it, but more often than not, you'll take the top off and you'll have to work it manually, get some diesel down into it. If that doesn't work, you're going to have to take the pump off and get it reconditioned, get down into it. They're not a hard pump to strip even. I do plan on doing a video with overhauling one of these pumps. I'm just trying to get my hands on one that is not being used off a scrap tractor or something, and I will do a video on it. So for now, I'm just going to park it there. I'm going to get all this cleaned up and I will be back. So that's pretty much her all cleaned up. That's as good as I can get it without going any further. Just if you are using any solvents or brake cleaner or anything to clean off the top of the pump, always a good idea just to drain it. You know, get as much out of it as you can, that it doesn't run through the system. And of course a good flush out on the internals as well, so clean out as best you can. So the next job we have to do is obviously to take out the spindles. So I don't know if we can see with the light here now. Maybe that's a bit better. Yeah, so we need to take that shaft out. So we'll just tap that out and tap the other one out. So your stopper one and your throttle one. Tap them out and then we look for the O-rings. So there you can see it. There's your spindle shaft out now, and you can see one O-ring and two O-rings. Yeah, so basically all we're going to do now is get a little pick and just put my glasses on. Can't do much these days without my glasses, especially when it's up close. Yeah, so you can feel them, they're gone hard, you know. They don't particularly want to bend or stretch. So just pick the two of them out of it. Yeah, that one as well, that one broke as well. So we'll go to our kit here now, if I can find it. Yeah, so it's basically, you know, our two O-rings, they're all the same, the four O-rings are the same. So don't worry about, you know, getting them mixed up around. So we just need two for one spindle and two for the other. Somebody did ask me before if you can get O-rings out of a kit, just a standard O-ring kit. I'm sure you can. I've never looked through. You have to look through kits to replace them. I'm sure you can, but when you're stripping the pump, obviously you have to take the top cover off. And when you take the top cover off, you break the seal on the top of the pump, so you're going to have to replace that anyway. So you might as well, for the sake of €5, you know, get the proper kit and get it onto it. So yeah, that's it. You can see in that one there, there's just 3 grooves. 1, 2, 3. So the seal, the O-ring was on the top and the bottom groove. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's that one done. So normally I would just have a little bit of grease here ready, just for, you know, reinstalling it up into the top housing. So that's that one done. We will go for the next one now. So just be careful now when you're tapping this one. This is actually the one that was leaking the worst. So I'm just hoping that there's no damage to the shaft. So just a little tap, obviously looking after your threads. So that's it, that's the other one out. That's the throttle rod. So those seals, yeah, they're just gone flat. You know, they're just gone flat, just over time, over years. As I said, this pump is on this tractor. Actually, no, this tractor got an engine change. It got an engine out of it. It's actually a 3050, so it got an engine out of a 3350 fitted to it. And this is what I've been told, and I have no reason to doubt it. But as I said, you know, before, 3050s and 3050s, there's nothing really in the difference. The pumps and that are the same. The engines are the same. Everything is pretty much the same. Just different settings on the pump and that. Very, very similar, exact same tractors. Obviously the 3650 is different, turbocharged and all that. So that's those 2 seals off. Give that a good clean, make sure there's no gunk or grime or crap that'll, you know, cause any seizure issues. I just used that Worth brake cleaner. It is good stuff, but just don't inhale it, because it is, I would say, carcinogenic. Yeah, I try not to use it as little as possible, and if I do use it, especially when I'm at work, I would I'd wear a mask, because, you know, it's not nice stuff. So that's it. Yeah, clean it off as best you can, and then we'll go for our other 2 O-rings. So I'll take that note off. O-ring down. and just work it around with the pick. See how these O-rings, obviously, because they're fresh, they stretch. I'm making a job of this now, but it's not easy to do this and try and make sure you're in focus on the camera and you're actually in the camera shot at the same time. So I have one eye on the camera and I have one eye on the shaft and one eye on the pick and one eye on the O-ring. Yeah, so that's one on. Just throw the other one on here now and we are good. There's a couple of good videos, especially I'm sure a lot of people watch Bundy Bear's Shed on YouTube, and he does all this in his workshop, off the bench, off the tractor, on a bench. He has some great videos, and he does full strip downs of pumps and rebuilds. Yeah, he has some excellent videos. So that's the other one all sealed up. Just a little bit of grease on that, and it's time to put the jigsaw back together. So yeah, obviously we just gave a bit of a clean out up the cylinders there where the rods go up, just to make sure everything's, no crap or gunk or anything stuck in them. Just leave everything right so that we can run this machine without having diesel pouring out of it. It's an old seal there. I probably will run this tractor for maybe a month or two during the summer, just to see where it's at as regards mechanical wise, and that I'll do a few jobs on it with it, sorry, just to make sure that it's up the spec. Now I want to give that a bit of a clean off with a wire brush, because the top cover does, the dust cover sits down on top of that. So yeah, it's a good clean down. I've cleaned it already, but just to make sure that the dust covers, they sit down on top of that okay. I'd say that should be good enough. Right, okay, so we'll start looking at putting a few bits back into this baby. Okay, so first cab off the rank is our stopper shaft. Oh, that feels nice. Nice tight fit now, a nice bit of friction to it. You know that's going nowhere. Again, just throw the nut on the top of that, just in case there's any issues with damage, because the last thing you want to do is damage threads for the sake of putting on a nut. If it fell on the ground or if it dropped, the last thing you want is damage. Next one then obviously is our throttle shaft, and that again feels perfect. There's going to be no leak out of that now, so yeah, 100% happy with that. And again, here is the nut. There you are. Throw the nut back on that. Lovely. Now we have to put our spring for our governor back in here. So what did we say? Middle. So middle hole and middle hole on the governor plate. So we have our setup there now, nice and clean in here. We have to just make sure that when we're letting it down, that we position this, that it's going to be sitting correct on the stopper rod inside. So yeah, I'll just set up the gasket now for that. I'll need my hands, everything, set up the gasket for the top cover. Okay, so yeah, just make sure she's nice and clean. The mating surfaces, obviously, I wouldn't put sealer on this. I would never put sealer on a pump. I have stripped them where I've seen lads that put silicone or some sort of sealer. There's absolutely no need to do it, and if you do, you're only running the risk of a little bit squirting out inside and getting into the internals of the pump. So absolutely avoid if you can. I know some lads might strip it and they mightn't have a new gasket, but really if you're going to be stripping one of these to do that with them, make sure, unless you're on the side of a field and you're under pressure to get the hay in or something, I definitely wouldn't use sealer. So I just put a bit of grease in that, and that is purely there just to hold the seal in place. Or the gasket, I should say. And here is our gasket, and here is our top. So just, I have seen a few of these, obviously, the gaskets from the process when they've been cut, you know, in the factory or whatever, you have some of this flaky stuff. Just make sure, obviously, that you rub your finger around the gasket, that none of that gets on the inside of the pump. Just give it a good clean, a good rub down, make sure there's no loose bits from the manufacturing process that's going to get into the internals of the pump when you tighten down the top cover. Yeah, just something to be aware of, something that I have noticed with some gaskets. Just make sure that they're clean and there's no bit of debris hanging off them. Okay, so we'll set the gasket down. As I said, that grease that I put down is literally only there to hold that gasket in place, because it is a little tad fiddly putting the top cover back on and getting the spring back into place. It's a little bit fiddly. There's a little bit of grease there, doesn't particularly matter. They will seal well. They rarely leak out of the gasket on the pump unless it's been stripped. Unless it's been stripped and somebody has put back on a used gasket or an old gasket and tried to seal it. But as I said, please at all costs do not put silicone or seal or windscreen bonder or Tech7, anything like that on the surface of the pump to seal it. Okay, so now the most important thing I said was to make sure that your throttle rod locks down into position and your spring goes into the right hole. So we're going to make sure, as I said again, that if you can see there without the light, we're in the middle hole on the throttle lever, and we're going into the middle hole on the governor plate. So you obviously have that little connector goes through the middle hole, and our spring will hook into that. Now it's a little bit fiddly, so I'll go quiet for a few minutes here as I get it all hooked up and make sure that the stopper is in the right position. It locks down into that plate, as I said, and we'll go from there. So yeah, we just want to make sure that our spring is sitting properly, which it is. it's in all the right holes, in all the right places, and we'll get our stopper rod lined up to slot in. Now I need my glasses again, where it's supposed to be. We'll feed her down, and she should, with a little twist, it should just slot down into place, making sure obviously that your gasket is sitting right. Now the gasket is a good lot wider than the top cover. The top cover is narrow, it's only a couple of mil thick, maybe 2 or 3 mil thick, 3 mil thick, and the gasket is probably 5 mil thick, so if it is sticking a bit out over the side, I wouldn't sweat it. So that's it sitting down. Our throttle rod, our stopper rod, sorry, is sitting in the correct position, and as is our throttle. And we'll just give that a little, make sure it's not catching on the throttle. Everything seems okay there. So we've 2 last little washers here in the kit, and they are the ones for the retaining bolts. Now, some of these were copper, these are more like a nylon type washer. So sit them on. 2 retaining nuts. Now normally if you get a pump like this built in a diesel shop, you will see on the nuts there's little holes there. If you can see that, the little holes in the nuts, and that's for tying wire in around, and then it'll be sealed. That if somebody does go tampering with it, you know, there'll be a code on the seal that your warranty will obviously be void. So you shouldn't really be in there doing anything with these unless you know exactly what you're at. And you can see into the plate at the side of the pump here where you can adjust the volume screw for the pump. There's a little cam in there you can adjust. It'll give it more diesel. For giving the pump a little bit of a screw, that plate has been off already, so somebody's been in there, but I will go back, I will go in there at some stage and check to make sure that it is at factory settings, because, you know, I don't want it over smoky, and I don't need a load of horsepower in this tractor because there's more than enough for what I will be doing with it. And I do like to keep things as standard as possible. So that is everything put back on the top of the pump. So all we need to do now is put on our linkages. So yeah, that's our throttle linkage there. So we'll just give that a bit of a clean. And as I said, if you look very carefully, get that light in position here. At the back there is a flat section, so you can't go wrong with where you're putting it back on, but do make sure that it is located down properly onto the shaft, because too many lads will just put it down, tighten it, and it's not sitting properly, and then, you know, obviously do some serious damage. So that's sitting down nicely there, but we do need to make sure that our dust cover goes on. And washer. And nut. So I'm just getting this, sorry, it's 8 mil. I'm getting this tractor ready just so I can run it, I can use it, I can check for any other leaks, any other issues that may, you know, arise that need attention before we go, you know, really stripping into this machine. So tighten them. There obviously is a torque, but, you know, generally anyone with half a brain, you know, a good feel, just a nice little nip. There's no need to swing out of them, force them down into it. No, you don't need to put Loctite on them. Some people do go a little bit over the top when it comes to tightening things down. Just a little nip. And anyone with an experienced arm or finger or hand will know exactly what I'm talking about. So just clean off this again for our stopper cable. And again, make sure our square section is sitting down correct. Put on our washers. There is a possibility I'll have this pump off the tractor again at some stage, depending on how deep we need to go with what we're doing. You know, I may have it stripped. I don't know yet until I, you know, get using this machine and see what needs to be done. So we'll just tighten down this rod. I do need to get new springs as well for the top of the pump. Just to leave everything right and looking original. Again, just a little nip, because the last thing you want to do is pull it. Oh, there goes my light. Last thing you want to do is pull a thread on these. Now, hope you can still see me there. Okay, so what will we put on first? We'll put on stopper cable. We'll just make sure everything is nipped up. So the stopper should be in at that. And I'll lock it up there. Yeah, so it may need to be just make sure that it will actually stop the tractor, and make sure that when the tractor is running that the stopper is fully off. Yeah, that's obviously most important. Getting in here now can be to hold that lock nut. So that's nipped up at that. I will check it obviously when the tractor's running, just to make sure that it's sitting in the right position. So we'll put our throttle rod back on. There is adjustment obviously in all of these, and I do need to. There's a bit of play in that there, a bit of play in that rod there that I just wouldn't be 100% happy with. So I will do a job on that in the future. I don't like sloppiness. As I say, 30, nearly 40-year-old tractor. It's been around the block. A lot of people have been at it at some stage in its life, and things are going to be worn. There's not a wild amount of hours on it. I think going by the clock, there's 11,000. Now that's a lot to some people, but you know, to a 40-year-old tractor, it's not a wild amount. So that's, you know, it's a good enough thing, I suppose, for what it is. So I won't just lock that, you just leave that slightly off. Now I do need to do a job on that. There's just a little bit too much play in there for my liking. So the next job is the springs. That spring there, obviously, that's in the wrong position. There's no real benefit as such to that being there. Just whoever was at it before me, for whatever reason, I don't know what it was doing. I may need to adjust that cable a bit, but that spring is doing very little there. I don't even think I'll put it back on. So throttle, stopper. So next quick job, we're just going to have a look. We're going to get it running. We're going to start it. Actually, I have to bleed it. Bleeding these is very, very simple. Bleed screw here at the top. Open her off. Now, the pump wasn't drained. The pump was only drained to here. So when we took the top off, it drained down to here. So our pump and our pumping element, our distributor head, everything is still full of fuel. And our diesel line injectors should be all still full of fuel. So we just want to slacken off the bleed screw. And we'll just take you over to the opposite side. Now, obviously, make sure that you don't lose any lowering. Generally, you can just slacken them off. There's a little hole on them and it'll bleed out through it, but that one obviously has been changed at some stage and it's not on it. So I'll just take you over to the other side now and we'll just have a look at the primer. So yeah, we're on the right hand side of the engine now, and here is our lift pump. So we'll just give that a few pumps and you should hear it starting to come out the other side. And when it does, just lock it up. And I hope you can still hear me. So yeah, there she is running now, the throttle light. Yeah, there she is running now with the throttle light. Let's have a look. All seems good there, yeah, very happy with that. So that's it. That's resealing the top half of a Lucas CAV DPA pump on a John Deere 3050, or indeed any other Lucas pump on any make of tractor. So that's it. Hope you found this video useful. I'm sure some people will. Very straightforward job, nothing too complicated about it. If you just take your time and just watch out for those few little things, it's a job that can be easily done in a half an hour. All you need is pliers, a 10mm spanner, an 11mm spanner, and literally that is all you need to do it, and your little gas kit, which is a £5. This pump is good to go now. It's as dry as a bone. I'm going to get this tractor out maybe later on today. I have a few other things to do. Might get out later on today and just get a good walk around. It's in the shed at the minute. It's a bit dark. Just get a little bit of an introduction to the tractor and what it is. But yeah, until next week, guys, thanks very much for watching and take care.